They mistook patience for submission. For years you let them talk, let them test, let them measure themselves against you, as if your silence was weakness. They confused your restraint with lack of ability, not realizing you were sharpening behind closed doors. The unveiling was sudden, but the preparation was years in the making. Now they scramble, trying to explain why the one they overlooked commands the weight of the room. They try to adjust their stories, to rewrite history, to frame your strength as luck or timing. Yet nothing can erase the truth that your composure, your consistency, and your refusal to bow have made you unshakable. They can pretend not to admire you, but they cannot pretend not to feel you. Power terrifies those who depend on appearances, because real power does not need to announce itself. You became proof of that. They were busy performing strength while you were living it. They showed their hands too early, wasted their energy proving to others what you quietly built within. And now, when silence falls, people turn to you, not them. Your power is not loud, not dramatic, it is undeniable. That is why it scares them. They cannot negotiate with what does not ask for permission. They cannot diminish what does not rely on their recognition. You are free because you stopped asking, and they are enslaved because they cannot stop demanding. In relationships, this truth unsettles them the most. They tried to bait you, to pull you into endless spirals of proving, explaining, apologizing. You refused. Your power revealed itself in the refusal to be dragged into small battles. When affection was withheld, you stayed composed. When accusations flew, you did not scramble to justify. That restraint forced them to confront their own dependency. They needed drama to feel alive, but you denied them the oxygen. Your power is non-negotiable because it does not collapse under guilt, does not chase validation, does not dissolve when someone tries to play games. They expected control, but control slips from their hands when you show them you cannot be moved. Friendships became mirrors of the same principle. Those who thrived on gossip could not stand your refusal to participate. Those who relied on manipulation grew frustrated when you did not bend. You exposed them not with words, but with boundaries. That exposure cracked their circles, forcing them to turn on each other, because without your compliance, their unity became fragile. Your power is non-negotiable because you do not barter your loyalty cheaply. You offer it where it is earned, not where it is demanded. That is why they fear losing you more than they value keeping others. They may not say it out loud, but your absence terrifies them, because it exposes how hollow their connections really are. At work, your strength unsettles in a different way. They depended on performance, scrambling for attention, weaving themselves into politics. You built results. You didn't need the spotlight to validate you, because outcomes spoke louder than any campaign. And when the dust settled, the undeniable fact was this: you delivered while they distracted. That truth cannot be negotiated away in meetings, cannot be erased with whispers. Even those who don't like you respect you, because power that shows up in results demands acknowledgement. They might resist giving you credit, but their own dependence on your stability betrays them. Your presence cannot be excluded, because without it, everything they built starts to wobble. Psychology explains why they're only now seeing it. The human mind resists acknowledging what threatens its sense of control. They saw your power all along, but they minimized it, rationalized it, called it arrogance, luck, or coincidence. Their denial wasn't blindness, it was fear. But denial cannot last forever. Repetition forces recognition, and your consistency has been too sharp, too steady, too relentless to ignore. They're realizing now that what they once dismissed is what they need most. And that realization fills them with a mixture of dread and envy, because while they wasted energy hiding their flaws, you trained to master yours. Enemies hate this most of all. They expected to find cracks, weak points, places to push and break you. But your preparation left them nothing to exploit. They pressed with lies, and you didn't react. They pressed with silence, and you stayed unbothered. They pressed with pressure, and you grew sharper. Every failed attempt deepened their paranoia. They whisper that you must have someone backing you, some hidden force protecting you. They don't understand that your power came from stripping yourself of dependency on them altogether. Their hatred is proof that they cannot deny you, because the only way to hate is to recognize. You became undeniable even to those who swore they would never bow to you. Your power is non-negotiable because it is not built on fragile illusions. You did not buy it with applause, did not rent it with popularity, did not borrow it from others. You forged it in silence, in rejection, in hours no one saw. That kind of power is not subject to their opinions because it was not gifted by them in the first place. They can withdraw their recognition, but they cannot withdraw your preparation. They can whisper, but whispers break against action. They can try to erase you, but erasure only works on those who did not leave marks. You leave marks with everything you touch. That is why negotiation is impossible. This recognition changes how they behave around you. Even those who once mocked now hesitate before speaking. They second, guess their words, measure their tone, check their posture. Your power has forced them into discipline they never wanted, but cannot avoid. They thought they would control you, yet they adjust themselves in your presence. That shift is the clearest proof of all. They're only now seeing what you already knew. You do not bend, you do not shrink, and you will not apologize for what you became. The cruel truth is that you never needed them to see it. Whether they recognize it or not, your power remains. But recognition forces them to confront their own weakness, and that is why it terrifies them. They cannot deny you anymore, because denial collapses when reality stares back at them. They tried to pretend you were replaceable, but they discovered that absence reveals more than presence. They tried to paint you as fragile, but your resilience shattered the brush. Your power is non-negotiable because you built it where no one could touch it. And now, whether they admit it or not, they stand in the shadow of what they cannot control. They exhaust themselves trying to hide what is already obvious. And the irony is that the harder they cover, the more visible the truth becomes. You watch them pile layers of performance on top of cracks that everyone has already seen. They call their fear ambition, their envy concern, their failures bad luck. But the human eye is sharper than they give credit for. People notice when someone speaks too much to prove innocence. They notice when energy is wasted on denial instead of growth. And you notice more than anyone. You see the trembling behind their words, the shallow tone of their laughter, the hesitation in their gestures. They spend hours crafting distractions, while you see through them in seconds. Every excuse they manufacture becomes evidence of what they are running from. Their words grow longer, their explanations grow louder, but the weight of what they avoid never shrinks. They think if they keep talking, if they keep moving, if they keep throwing illusions, people will forget. Yet the more frantic the cover, the clearer the wound looks. You don't need to accuse them. You don't need to chase. You only need to stay still and let their own panic reveal them. Their exhaustion betrays them. Exhaustion leaks through the eyes, through the voice, through the way their energy drops when no one is watching. The truth does not need you to shout. It exposes itself when denial runs too long. Psychology proves this pattern. Suppression drains the mind. To hide weakness, people create masks, but those masks require constant maintenance. Every word has to be checked, every move rehearsed, every look calculated. That constant monitoring burns energy faster than honesty ever would. You know this because you stopped hiding. You embraced your scars, and by doing so, you freed your energy to build. They, on the other hand, spend their energy polishing masks, so when real pressure comes, they collapse. The obviousness they tried to hide was out in the exact moment they hoped it never would. And all the time they wasted in cover, ups becomes proof of wasted life. Their exhaustion grows because denial is never silent. It leaks in patterns. You hear it in the way they repeat themselves too often, the way they bring up subjects no one asked for, the way they deflect at the smallest hint of scrutiny. You see it in their posture, rigid when calmness would suffice, nervous when nothing is at stake. They don't realize that the body always tells the truth. While the mind spins illusions, the body betrays them. You see it in the twitch of an eye, the dryness of a throat, the hesitation before a word. They are prisoners of their own performance, and you are the witness who cannot be fooled. Relationships are where this exhaustion becomes unbearable. They try to hide their insecurity by pretending they don't care, yet their behavior screams the opposite. They withdraw affection to gain power, only to betray their neediness by checking whether you notice. They pretend to be in control, yet their obsession with your reactions reveals their dependency. The more they try to cover, the more the truth bleeds out between the cracks. You don't need to confront them. Their actions speak louder than confession ever could. They exhaust themselves not because you demand proof, but because they are desperate to convince themselves of a lie they no longer believe. In friendships, the mask is even heavier. They act generous when they feel threatened. They spread rumors to hide their envy. They laugh the loudest in groups, only to sulk in silence when eyes are gone. The truth is plain. You see their resentment. You see their insecurity. You see their hunger for validation. Everyone does. But they continue the performance, exhausting themselves in a play no one buys tickets for. The tragedy is that if they embrace the truth, they could heal. But pride ties them to the act, and that act becomes a cage. You watch them drain their own energy trying to hide what every eye has already accepted as fact. At work, the same exhaustion leaks into every task. They scramble to look busy, to look important, to look in control. They decorate effort instead of producing results. They put more energy into looking competent than into becoming competent. You see it in the way they rush when calm precision would suffice. You see it in the way they highlight their victories while brushing past their failures. The truth is clear. They do not believe in their own ability, so they cover it with noise. But noise cannot hide emptiness. Their exhaustion is louder than their competence, and eventually people notice. That is when denial backfires, turning their own performance into the very evidence they tried to erase. Enemies destroy themselves quickest with this game. They plot loudly, accuse constantly, whisper endlessly, all in an effort to make others look weaker than they are. But the truth is already written in their behavior. They fear you. That fear leaks into every tactic they use. Their exhaustion makes them sloppy. They overplay their hand. They stretch their lies until they break. And by the time the crowd sees the full picture, they are already too exposed. You never needed to strike them down. They did it themselves by exhausting all their energy, trying to bury what everyone could already see. Their downfall is inevitable, because truth always eats through denial when the mask gets too heavy. The cruel part is that the exhaustion they feel was avoidable. They could have chosen honesty. They could have chosen humility. But they thought hiding weakness would protect them, when in reality it only enslaved them. You understand the opposite. You use your flaws as fuel. That makes you powerful because nothing can be weaponized against you once you've already faced it. They hide their flaws, so every whisper feels like a blade. They exhaust themselves because they know exposure would ruin them. You walk free because exposure has no hold on you. That difference is why they spiral while you ascend.